Right, so let's move to another topic that should be the single sign-on. So currently my default domain is the vsphere.local, which I have to change it to my accessible.com.au. That is my Active Directory DNS. So let's configure the single sign-on now. So what I will do, I will go to the vCenter server, go to the summary, and I can say I will go to the administrator, so menu and administrator. So over here I will say users and groups, but before that I need to have the configuration and make sure that my identity server is up and running for that one. So I need to turn on the machine. So let me run that machine now. So I just need to wait until these start off. So once these start off, and after that I should be, because this is my domain and Active Directory where my all the users are there, and it will also serve as a DNS server with the accessible.com.au. Alright, so let's go to the configuration, click on identity source and click on add, and here I will add the Active Directory, not LDAP, the normal one. And here I will say you can't continue because we sent a single sign-on server is not currently joined to any domain. I will click on cancel. I will click on Active Directory first, click on join AD. Okay, you see that it is 199, so we don't worry. So that should be, domain should be accessible.com.au. Organization unit, don't worry. Username will be administrator at accessible.com.au, password, and I will click on join. Right, so has been successfully joined. Reboot the node in order to apply the changes. And if I go back to the identity source over here, I don't see that Active Directory yet. So I need to reboot that one. So I will go back to the host and cluster, and where can I find that reboot option? Okay, roles, global permission, license, plugin, system configuration, and I will select this one and I will say reboot node. All running tasks on the node will be cancelled or interrupted. So I will click on cancel. First, I will make sure that there is no VMs running. So these are the ones which we did it for high availability. So I will just stop those. And also I will shut down the virtual vCenter server 2 because our high availability was unsuccessful anyhow, and we do not require that one. I will say no, let it keep it running because it will not affect that one. So now I will go back to the administrator system configuration, select the node and click on reboot and enter joining Active Directory and click on reboot. So this should take another 10 or 15 minutes in order to come back. So what I can do is that I can just say that ping 192.168.1.99 minus t. So currently it is pinging, so I will keep it running. So after a while it should stop pinging. You see that I have lost access to the web GUI, and slowly I should also lose access to that one. So if I go back and log into my ESXi server where my actual virtual machines have been hosted, vCenter server ones, and over here I should see that anytime the vCenter server is going down. Right, but currently you see that the services have been offline now, so it will take time to come online. And I think you see that it is now starting to say that destination host unreachable. And again, now it is reachable. So we just give it a little bit time, and after that, the application server and everything should be running up in order to start. So once that is been up and running, I will be back. All right, so you see that when I restarted my vCenter server, it says that no healthy stream. This is the worst nightmare. That means we lost everything. But I found a workaround for that one. So if I go ahead and take the 192.168.1.99, and if I connect it to root and enter the password, so we will be logged in. So we go to the shell and we will say that service control start VMware VPXD. So performing start operation, no service VPXD, successfully started services VPXD. So now just give it another 5 minutes time, and after that you should see that your vCenter server is running. But again, if you remember, after a while, as per my testing, after 15, 20, 30 minutes, again the vCenter server goes down. So once you see that no healthy upstream means once your vCenter server is being restored, it's better to upgrade to the version which is much stable than the current one so that you do not encounter that problems. Alright, so this will take another 5-10 minutes in order to boot up now. Now you see that even though I have given the command where my VPXD has been started, still my vCenter server did not came up. So I will go back to the vCenter server 1 console, launch in a new tab, try to log in into that one, see if the login is working or not. Yep, so login is working, everything is fine. So if I go back to the configure network, it shows everything. So nothing wrong with the virtual machine console part. It's just the GUI part, the where the services are not running and we are not able to get access to that one. But basically once that is being joined, so what you will see is that if I go to the menu, administrator, and over system configuration, not system configuration, it should be single sign-on configuration, and in the identity source you will have this domain. So now currently I have the local domain, so I will click on that one and I will say that set as default and click on OK. So that will be set as a default domain. Now vsphere.local will be set it up as a default. If I go to the Active Directory, since that is not been added, that server is been down, because once I reboot that one it is going down, so it's better. So the reason for that single sign on is that once you are integrated with your Active Directory, that is where now you can go to the users group, and over here you can add your users and you can provide all the details. And one more option that will be is that the roles. So for example, I will add one user, that is user one. The password should be anything. Confirm the password. So first name, I will say user name, last name, don't worry about description, anything, and click on add. Now if I go to the roles, I want to give him the read-only access. The usage, there is nothing. Privileges, description, nothing. So I will click on, so I want to add the user to this particular role. So that is where I'm struggling now. So for the usage, I will say that define in server, there is no option. So that is the only issue I'm having, because if I click onto this user one, it is under this domain, that's fine. But I want to, if I want to edit, nothing I can do. I'm just trying to assign the role for that particular user. That's it. where should be the option? Because I don't see anywhere over here. Now, see that locked, no disable, knock domain is vSphere. So by default, there is an administrator and there are different users created. That is fine. So let me go back to the roles and see, clone this read-only role. I will say RD only. So I will click on OK. So if I go to the RD, where is that one? RD only. Again, there is nothing I can do over here. So I clone the role and I try to, so what I will do, I will create a new role and I will say that I want to include the alarms, all alarms, auto deploy all of the things, compute policies, all of them, content library, access to it, data center, access to it, data store, I want to give access, EXI agent, and what else? To the host access, yes, I want to give it. Virtual machine access, I want to give him, and click on next. Role name will be custom. So you can select the whatever the permission you want to give, that's it. So click on finish. And if I see the custom is still there, everything is there, but how can we assign the role now? So if I go back to the user, I don't have anything which says to assign a roller. So let me do one thing now. I will go back to the host and clusters and I will add a host here that should be 192.168.34 and click on next. Accept that certificate, click on OK. Click on next and click on finish. So let that host be added. So it is now adding. So that is being added. Click on configure. We don't want any switches, nothing for now. I will just simply configure. Okay, that should be good. Everything is been configured. So if I right click, these are the hosts. I will do a right click and I will say that VM policy, nothing, template compatibility, edit settings, move to folder, edit name, add permissions. And you see that role is the administrator. So I will say custom, or for this one, I understand that for the particular virtual machine, we are saying that assigning the role, but I want to assign the role to the user. So that's what I'm trying to look for. Go to inventory. All right, so let me do one thing. Let me log out from this one because since I already created a user, let me log in with the new user. So I will say that user1 at vsphere.local. If I'm able to log in, let me see what permissions do I get. You see that unable to log in because you do not have permission. Okay. So it does not have any permissions for right now. So that's what I'm trying to add the permissions. Okay. All right. So I've created the user. So let me go to the vCenter server, click on permissions, and here I see all the permissions. Click on add. Over here I will select the domain. Currently I don't have a user group, so I will say user one. It should be able to search. So I will say that user one should have the read-only access. Okay, so currently I've been assigning to only user one, so I'm not assigning to a resource. So for example, if I have assigned the user group as a data center, then I am saying that particular user should be able to access only the data center and everything. Then what I have to do is that I have to create a custom role which gives specific permissions to him. And once the permissions have been given, then only he is able to access the particular data centers only or the particular VMs only. So everything is been as per your permissions, roles. So I will say that a user one that should be given read-only access. Click on OK. And now I should see that user one read-only access. So let me log out now because since the user one had the read-only access, so I will say that vsphere.local, that should be user one, password should be 123 access, and now I am able to log in. That is so good. Now it says that read-only access. Again, the permission I have set it on to the vCenter server, so that's the reason it is not seeing any other, what do we say, devices or the data center. So what I will do, I will log out and I will log back in with the administrator. And in this one, I will go back to the data center now. In the data center, I will give a permission. You see that it doesn't have any permission. So I will say that I want to give a permission to the user one, which will be the, I can say what kind of access, virtual machine. I will also say read-only access, and I will say propagate to children. That means it will also allow access to the cluster and the, what do we say, the virtual machines. Now, if you remember that while creating the permissions on the vCenter server, I did not selected this option, so that might be the reason it did not show me any cluster or anything. It just only showed me the vCenter server. So let me click on OK. Let me go back, log it off, and log back in. So you can say that user one. So let me log back in now. Since I have given action, you see that I have given permission to data center, and I also said that propagate to the children. So that's why now it is having access to all of the resources. So now if you see that I don't have action to perform anything, if I click on edit settings, I don't have permissions to edit any of those things. It just only read only access. Now, again, you do have access or ability to tell a user that you are able to access the virtual machine. You are able to make the, what do we say, the changes to the virtual machine, changes to the data store. Again, according to your specification, you can go ahead and create your own rules. So currently, administrator has the all of the access, not the user one. Alright, so once I logged in, now I will go back to the menu, going to the administrator, going to the users and group. I can create more users, or if I go to the roles and I can say create a new role for that one. Now global permissions, that means say if you have multiple data centers, multiple vCenters, multiple large environment, that's where you will use globally giving certain permissions where he can go in a different data centers, multiple data centers here is able to view or make changes or anything accordingly. So the main thing is that the roles will define the permissions. So if you click on read only access, click on privileges, so if I say read-only access, you see that currently I have a data center and the vCenter server assigned to that read-only access. So if I double click on that one, so I want to see the permissions for that one. So if I click on this one, clone it, I don't see anything. So if I click on add role, then only I'm able to see the multiple options over here. So I will say that virtual machine, all virtual machine privileges over here. So I'll click on next and I will see that VM only. Click on finish. Now what I will do is that I will go back to the host and clusters. I will go back to the data centers, click on permissions, click on this one, click on edit, and here I will select VM only access, click on OK. So now I will log back in. So I said that I want to allow access to virtual machines. So let me see if that's really allow access to virtual machines or not. Right. So if I go to the virtual machine, now you see that I have an option to shut down, access the launch console and everything. So basically, if I go to the edit settings, now you see that I do have edit settings. So I set for virtual machines. Let's look for the this console that is a ESXi host. And now you see that I'm not able to deploy new virtual machines and I'm not able to, if I go to the settings, configuration, settings, storage adapters, let's see, I am not able to make any of those changes. No changes. Only access to the virtual machine. I have full access, but not to the cluster and the data center. Right. Now, the same concept, you can apply the same permissions to the certain groups. So let me log in. So let me go back to the menu and administrator once again. And now I will go back to the users and group. This time I will select the group and I will say that add, and I will say that this is my security group. Now I will add the members, that is the user one. You see that I got the user one. I have added the user one. So, but basically you are creating a group and after that you are adding, click on add. But with the single sign on, what happens is like once you added your domain, so all the user groups are downloaded over here. So you don't have to worry about your user group. The next thing is that only what you have to do is that you have to allocate the permissions to that particular user group simply. So now I have created one user group, that is the security user. Where is that one? Okay, that is strange. Let me add one more time, that is SEC group. Okay, he did not create that group to security admins. That's strange. It's not creating the group, I don't know why. But once the group has been created, so for example, I will use this group act as a user group. So if I go back to the same thing, host and cluster over here, I will go to permissions and I will say that add permissions, and here I will put down the act as user group and I will say that the they are going to act as the administrator, and I want to propagate to the children and click on OK. Now I will go back to this one and I will remove that one, click on OK. Now act as user does not have the, if I go back to the user and groups, and within this group, you see that there is no members. So I will click on add members and I will say that add user one and click on save. Now the group is user one included. So permissions are already set as an administrator, and I've already now only added the user one. So I will just go ahead and log out and log back in using the, what do we say, vCenters. So user one at vsphere.local, and I will log back in. Since now the user one have been given administrator permission, so now you see that I will go to configure. I have full access to that one now. If I go to the cluster, I have full access. So if I click on edit, I am able to edit because now I am an administrator. So if I go to this one, right click, now you see that all the permissions I have now. So that's how you will go ahead and configure your user groups and roles and permissions. I hope this is now clear for you. Thank you for watching and have a good day.